Good morning. We're pleased to welcome you to the Association of Energy Engineers Western Regional Conference. It is our first virtual conference. With that, we're bringing you some of the best speakers and teachers in our field. I challenge you to use the next few days to fine-tune or add to your skill set. Take the opportunity to become better in your field. We talk a lot about greenhouse gases, and we know conceptually that energy efficiency and renewables impact those greenhouse gases, but I don't think we grasp it with the passion that it deserves. You hear about global warming, and it usually is portrayed as tenths of a degree in temperature impact and is related to melting in our polar ice caps. But that doesn't translate very well to something tangible for us to our everyday businesses as much as it should. So today I want to give you a more direct perspective with a couple of charts. They're near and dear to our energy managers' day-to-day business. And maybe this perspective will help us to focus you a little differently this week in the things that you do every day. We calculate the size of our equipment and our modeling, as well as our energy usage based on cooling degree days in almost every aspect of energy engineering. So let's look at a chart that portrays the U.S. cooling degree days for the last 70 years. Every country probably has the same experience, but I want to look at the U.S. as an example for comparison purposes today. On the chart, you'll see that there has been an increase in our average U.S. cooling degree days of roughly 500 degree days, or 54% over the last 70 years. That's based on information from the Energy Information Agency's database. That probably translates into something our mechanical, our electrical, as well as our energy engineers understand every day. This is a major increase. Well, let's show you next how this is overlaid by decade. A decade is used generally for trending more so than an individual year. As you can see, the cooling degree days stack on top of each other as they increase each year for the last 7 decades. If you notice, the first 4 decades is near zero, or really in some cases slightly negative slope. The last 3, they really take off. So if I show you these 3 individually, you'll see for the 1990 to 2000, it's at a 14-to-1 slope. If you look at year 2000 to 2010, we go up at a 10% slope. Then for 2010 to present, we have a 20-to-1 slope. If we maintain this slope, we will add 1,000 degree days in less than 50 years. It escalates at the rate of change for the last 3 decades, and we could add another 1,500 degree days in the next 50 years. Now, we have 3 types of folks in the world. We have the deniers. They are not scientists or engineers, so they can easily deny that which they don't understand, and they can say it doesn't exist or it's not a real problem. I'd like to ask them, what % of slope do you need for it to become a real problem? We have the whiners, those who complain and whine that somebody else should do something. And then we have the doers. That is you folks that are attending our conference this week. You go to work every day and are working in an area that has direct impact on saving energy, which reduces the production of greenhouse gases. There are roughly 8 major subsets of projects or programs that impact our greenhouse gases. Most of those are taught or will be addressed here this week. I'm going to ask you to double your efforts to learn this week from our speakers so that you can not only do your job, but do it better. And with that, you'll be able to save more energy, and with that, the associated greenhouse gases. Whether you're directly involved in efficiency projects, renewable projects, production of energy, or electric cars, there's probably something for you this week. I want you to ask questions. I want you to expand your mind, get passionate about what you do, and let's go away as better doers than when we came in here. So that when we go home, we can do our job better than before we came. so that the world benefits and it becomes a better place now and for future generations. Our next speaker today is Bill Kent. He's been with AEE for 10 years, but he served as our director for almost 3 years. He was directly involved in getting us our ANSI certifications. He was directly involved in our Department of Energy Better Buildings workforce guidelines. More importantly, he's been instrumental in expanding our chapters to many countries around the world. We've experienced exponential growth internationally, which is due to his credit. Bill has been having to learn how to be flexible because the COVID virus has changed everything we do in our day-to-day business, with our training, with our chapters, and our events. He's had to deal with the last-minute cancellation of AE East, the transition of AE West to a virtual event, and now the change that's going to happen with AE World. In all this craziness that is going on, Bill still maintains a smile and has endured. Join me in welcoming Bill to our stage.
Thank you, Buster, for that kind introduction. On behalf of the Association of Energy Engineers and our more than 18,000 members in more than 100 countries around the world, welcome to the 2020 AEE West Virtual Energy Conference and Expo. Due to the global pandemic, we're not able to meet in person this year in Seattle, our home away from home in the Pacific Northwest. This would have marked the 8th time in the past 14 years we've met in person in Seattle. Let's hope we're able to meet here again in person as a group in the summer of 2022. First, from the AEE family around the world, we wish and hope for everyone that you, your family, your friends, your coworkers are safe and healthy during these times of crisis. This event, yes, this virtual event, would not be possible without the support of our elite group of sponsors and partners. We'd like to give special recognition to this year's co-host, Puget Sound Energy and Seattle City Light. Both PSE and City Light have taken a leading role in this event for the past 14 years, and we want to thank them for their involvement, support, and participation in AEE West. We'd also like to thank our bronze sponsors, Snohomish County Public Utility District and Tacoma Power, our supporting partner, NACECO, and all of our media partners. At AEE, we are local, we are global, we are AEE, a global family of energy professionals. We have 2 local chapters that execute the mission of AEE in the local community, our Pacific Northwest chapter here in Seattle, and the Columbia River chapter in Portland. We want to thank them for their support and continued work executing our mission on a local basis. As many of you may know, AEE was founded in 1977 by Al Tooman and has grown from a concept to a trusted global voice for energy professionals around the world. AEE started offering energy management certification in 1981, and no other organization has a 40-plus year track record in energy certification with over 17,000 certified energy managers and a total of more than 30,000 specialty certifications awarded. I know I'm proud to be a certified energy manager, and I think many of you in attendance today also proudly hold that same credential. AEE offers training and certification programs around the world in more than 10 languages. Our credentials are recognized and required by companies, cities, and governments around the world. New York City, Atlanta, Chicago, San Francisco, Canada, Australia, Dubai, France, Greece, Hong Kong, Kenya, the list goes on and on. So when you hold an AEE credential, you certify competence in your profession around the world. So as we gather today, I'd like to look back over the past several months. Many things have occurred and transpired. We look back to last September, was the last time we met in person. That was AEE World in Washington, D.C. Things were good then. We had challenges and opportunities, but we were moving forward, doing great things. The economy was strong. We were making progress on programs and policies for a clean energy future. There were more than 2.3 million jobs in energy efficiency in the U.S. The energy efficiency jobs was the fastest growing job sector in the energy industry, with energy efficiency employing twice as many workers in the US as the entire fossil fuel industry. Quite impressive. Climate change, something that's certainly an opportunity and a challenge. Based on the IPCC report of 2018, with the business as usual scenario, we'd have a 4.5 degree increase in global temperature by the year 2100. We've all agreed to a target of 1.5 degrees by 2100 to avoid catastrophic consequences, something that we still need to address on a daily basis. In addition to climate change, another large global energy issue is energy poverty. With an estimated 1.1 billion people, that's almost 14% of the global population, do not have access to electricity. That's according to the Energy Access Outlook of 2017 by IEA. Fast forward to 2020, earlier this year, carbon emissions flatlined in 2019. So after 2 years of growth, global carbon emissions were unchanged at 33 gigatons in 2019, even as the world economy expanded by 2.9%. So that's good news. Energy poverty, we were at 14%, 1.1 billion people without access to electricity. That number fell below 1 billion people to 860 million for the first time in 2018, according to updated data from IEA. So some good things occurring. And energy efficiency is now being recognized and promoted so that we can help us reach and obtain 40% of the carbon reduction target in order to maintain the 1.5 degree global temperature increase in order to avoid catastrophic climate change effects on our planet. So the year started, things are good. In February, I was fortunate to visit some of the AEE chapters in Africa and in other parts of the Middle East. And I wanted to share just a couple of stories to give you the picture of who AEE is and some of the work we're doing around the world. In South Africa, we have a multi-year student program that serves underserved communities. Our training partner and chapter have year-long training, one-on-one mentorship for more than a year with energy professionals so that underserved youth can gain energy certifications and secure good jobs. This is changing lives. It's impressive, it's very motivational, and it really hits home for what we're doing. We were in Kenya. Certainly energy poverty is a big issue. In 2013, only 25% of the people in Kenya had access to electricity. 5 years later, in 2018, 75% had access. That's an additional 25 million people. And our chapter and our members in Kenya were heavily involved. While we were there, there was an energy mobility or an e-mobility event that we participated in. And with our chapter, we launched an EV initiative to have 500,000 in 5 years. That's 500,000 EVs, electric vehicles, in 5 years in Kenya. That is a very impressive target, and of course many of these are two-wheel scooters, but still with transportation, air pollution issues, a great initiative, 500,000 in 5 years that we support and launched in Kenya. So if we fast forward to the present, who could have seen what was coming? The global pandemic in March. Many lives have been lost, many jobs have been lost. Certainly we're in a trying global time. According to IEA, by the end of March, global oil demand was down 57% globally. Global energy demand was down 2.5%, although in countries where there was full lockdown, that was down as much as 20%. And also, energy investment is set to fall by 1/5 in 2020, especially in the oil segment. So we can see, and that was through the end of March, this is just continuing. I mentioned earlier that we talked about green jobs being 2.3 million here in the U.S. Catastrophic news. We've lost over 600,000 of those clean energy jobs in the U.S. since COVID-19. And May will be the third straight month of significant energy job losses across our industry here in the U.S. So we're certainly operating and living in a changing world. I think we're all working remote. I know I'm working from home. My wife's at home. I have a son that just graduated high school. He completed online education, no extracurriculars, even a virtual graduation. All of our education is online. All of our meetings are now virtual. I think we're probably all doing lots of Zoom and GoToMeetings, GoToWebinars. In-person events are canceled, whether it be business events, AEE East, chapter meetings, trainings, sporting events, civic events, etc. And we're all doing lots of webinars in order to stay connected and to stay interchanging information. I know that at AEE we've had our ongoing member webinar series. We did an AEE East webinar series and even a COVID webinar series to address issues and to provide value and value and content to our members. So what's ahead? Things are starting to open. Our buildings are opening, facilities, schools are opening. So there's some obvious things that are going to be occurring. Social distancing, I think we're all practicing and need to continue and will continue to practice social distancing. We'll be wearing masks. We'll be sanitizing and cleaning much more than we have in the past. So what does that mean for us, all of you in the energy efficiency business? What are we going to do? How are we going to participate in the new world moving forward? Well, there's a number of things. The first thing is, will we have UV lighting? Will we be doing more filtering? Will we be addressing air movement and outside air? Things that are both challenges and give us opportunities. One thing for sure, as we move forward with clean energy efficiency, we have to focus on occupant health and safety. And we definitely play a key role in the coming recovery. We need to continue to implement clean, green, efficient energy solutions. These energy solutions drive economic growth and create green jobs. As we're driving this growth, we need to ensure that we work with equity and inclusion throughout the world in the green economy. And we must promote the co-benefits of energy efficiency to help get projects approved and projects funded. I was in an event last week, and Dr. Joseph Allen of the Harvard Department of Environmental Health was speaking, and he talked about the co-benefits of energy efficiency, the co-benefits being health benefits and climate benefits. And he highlighted a calculator, COBE, the COBE calculator that Harvard developed, which helps quantify these specific co-benefits of energy efficiency work to both health and climate benefits. So I'd urge you to take a look at that, as we need to do that as we move forward. So the work you do makes a difference, and it has huge benefits for society. One of the strategic objectives set in 2019 by the AEE Board of Directors was that we're committed to addressing the urgent global environmental and energy needs with certified and qualified professionals. This was true before the pandemic, and this is true just as much post-pandemic. So over the next 3 days, you'll hear engaging and informative speakers addressing key issues and discussing together how we can move toward the clean energy future that is safe and healthy. So with that, it's my honor and privilege to introduce this morning's opening session speaker, Dr. Martin Keller, Director of the National Renewable Energy Lab in Golden, Colorado. Dr. Keller has served as Director of NREL and President of the Alliance for Sustainable Energy, the company that operates NREL for the U.S. Department of Energy since 2015. Under his leadership, the number of full-time employees at NREL has increased by more than 32%. Dr. Keller is a visionary leader who's committed to people, teams, and partnerships. He innovatively and pragmatically applies private sector best practices at NREL to achieve game-changing scientific outcomes. Working collaboratively with his leadership team, Martin developed a strategy for NREL focused on 3 key initiatives: integrated energy pathways, circular economy, and electrons to molecules. This strategy drives advanced scientific research programs, projects, and partnerships at NREL. For example, NREL recently signed a 10-year, $100 million agreement with ExxonMobil to research and develop lower emission energy technologies and accelerate new ideas about energy. NREL has also signed valuable partnerships with Eaton Corporation, Wells Fargo, Hewlett-Packard, Royal Dutch Shell, and more than 815 private and public sector organizations. From 2006 to 2015, Dr. Keller led energy, biological, and environmental research programs at the Oak Ridge National Lab. Earlier in his career, Dr. Keller's dedicated work in a variety of research management positions at Diversa Corporation enhanced and developed the microbiology expertise of this biotech company. Currently, Dr. Keller is a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science and the chair-elect of the AAAS Industrial Science and Technology section, and serves on numerous other scientific advisory boards. Dr. Martin received his PhD in microbiology from the University of Regensburg, Germany. And I'd like to remind you that at the conclusion of Dr. Keller's opening speech, we'll be having a Q&A session, so please submit your questions using the chat function during his keynote address. So with that, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome Dr. Martin Keller to AEE West.
So thank you, first of all, to having me today for this event. I'm very excited to talk to all of you. What I would like to do in the next 40 minutes or so is to give you a little bit an overview on a very high level. So where are we on our planet? Where are we going next? And then talk to you a little bit about NREL, what we're doing at NREL, give you an outlook where the research is going, and then ending up with some of our new strategic initiatives, what we developed over at NREL over the last couple of years. So where are we on our planet? You all have heard about the thing about this big kind of megatrends. So we're talking about population growth, urbanization, food and water, distributed energy resources, mobility, just to name a few of this so-called megatrend. These are trends which are impacting our whole planet. I want to touch base on a couple of them because you can see how these megatrends really determine what we need to do in the energy sector, not only here in the United States, but honestly also globally on our planet. So let me start out with the first one, which is population growth. You all know that very soon, 2050, we have 9.4 billion people of our planet. We're growing rapidly. There specifically, we're seeing big growth, and we'll come back to this one on our cities. So this big population growth will have a lot of problems in the very near-term future. How do we provide enough food for our people? How do we provide the resources? And how do we provide the energy to this massive amount of people on our planet? When you continue on this trend, very soon, we need 2.4 times the resources our planet will provide. This means we have to strategically think about this. How do we support all our folks on our planet without destroying our planet? The next big issue is urbanization. Every week, 2.4 million people move into our big cities. Cities becoming these mega cities. So this is where a lot of the new innovations will take place. But this is also where we have to find out, how do we bring resources to the people in the cities? How do we keep cities livable? How do you provide the energy and food and water to our people in the cities? So urbanization will keep us very busy for a long time period, because by 2050, over 60% of all the world's population will live in big cities. And then there's water. So as you all know, we have a lot of water on our planet, but most of the water is very salty. In addition, we are not providing good drinkable water to a lot of people on our planet. Many millions of people have feces contaminated drinking water on a daily basis. A lot of water is used for irrigation to grow our food and vegetables. So how do we do this in the future? How do we create enough water resources that we can provide all the food on our planet? So water will be a big issue for our planet. And then there's mobility. Mobility is rapidly changing. When you look back, perhaps a little bit more than 100 years ago, we have horse carriages, and suddenly there was this huge transition in a very short time period from horse carriages to automobiles. And now we're seeing the same kind of step function, big changes in transportation, not only through electrification of our transportation, but also when you link transportation to the autonomous side, we're seeing massive impact and changes in the transportation sector, which will come over the next couple of years. And we're feeling that suddenly the combination of electrification of our transportation combined with autonomous driving will be a major shift, a major step functions in the way we not only transporting goods, but also how we getting around. So there will be major impact and changes coming through the next advanced technologies in transportation. So when you look in the United States, we're going through a transformation of the energy supply in the United States. Major changes, some of you probably all have seen this. We're seeing major transformation going on right now. Let's look a little bit into this details, what we're seeing right now on the power systems and the transformation which we're seeing there. The big black curve is coal. We're seeing that over the last couple of years, we're seeing huge decline in coal to producing electricity. So what causes these big changes? Some people say the renewable destroyed the coal market, and honestly, this is not the truth. What's really happening is that very cheap natural gas, I mean, the big first steps in the transformation of the power sector. We're seeing, and you're seeing this here on the yellow line, that natural gas was increasing significantly. Nuclear stayed pretty stable over the last 20 years or so, but now you're seeing down there a little bit still in the screen that suddenly we're seeing huge increases in wind, and over the last couple of years specifically also in solar. So huge transition away from coal, original to natural gas, and now increased capacity building in the United States is mostly around renewable, and there's specifically wind and solar. So now the question is, why do we suddenly seeing these big changes in the power sector? What triggers these changes? And the trigger is seen here. Over the years, you're seeing massive cost reductions on renewables. You're seeing how wind, solar is decreasing significantly. On the right upper side, you can see the last power purchasing agreements here in Colorado. You can see now that we're down to wind, which is now cheaper than even natural gas. These numbers, which were published by Excel, even have 4 hours of storage built into this cost. So you can see that suddenly massive changes and cost reductions in the renewable space, which triggers a lot of these changes on the power sectors. So when you look at NREL at a glance, I want to just give you a very quick update. Where are we at NREL? So we are the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. We are in Golden, Colorado. Our workforce is about 2,926 people, so almost 3,000 people. We have a lot of postdocs and students and undergrads and grads. We're working together with a lot of universities. Our facilities are world-class facilities. We're very lucky. We're having a lot of net zero facilities. We're really trying to have our facilities also built to our mission, to have a sustainable planet, and this is also how our facilities are built. We're having a lot of partnership with the industry, about 900, and I will talk about this, why this industrial partnerships is so important to us down at the end of my presentations. And the campus is a living campus. Again, what I said, we're trying to walk the walk and talk the talk. At a high level, we're doing a lot of renewable power, and this is still in solar, wind, water, geothermals. We're doing a lot of work in sustainable transportation, everywhere from bioenergy to vehicle technology, and a lot of integrated hydrogen projects. A lot of energy efficiency in buildings and manufacturing, and more the energy systems integration. And also we'll come back to this one, because this is the big challenges right now. How do you bring all this together? How do we integrate the kind of energy efficiency work with the renewable energies? How do we create the grid of the future? So a lot of work actually goes into the energy systems integration activities at NREL. So just to give you a couple of very high level on some of the renewable technology, and I want to start with solar research. You probably all have seen how the solar research costs came down significantly. So a lot of people asking, so what's next in solar? Are we already done with all the research? Can we just call it a victory and walk away? And we always argue that solar research just is still at the beginning. There's a lot of work still to be done in the energy integration of all the solar panels, linking solar panels to storage. But even in materials, there's a lot of work which will change the way we're producing solar panels in the near term future. A lot of very exciting work is still going on in solar, which we will predict will even further decrease the cost of electricity generated by solar significantly over the next couple of years. To highlight a couple of this is, and some of you might have heard this new term, which is this called this perovskites. So perovskites is a new material which will enable us down the road, if we work out some of the really still fundamental problems with this, which is still based on the stability of some of these molecules. Over the last couple of years, we were increasing, and you can see this down on the left side, we were able to increase the efficiency of perovskite molecules significantly over the last couple of years. And now we're working on this one to really now develop the stability of these molecules. If you can figure this out, you will have the vision to produce solar panels in a very similar way what you produce newspapers. Perovskites, we also call them solar inks. You can make them by bringing a very thin film onto a matrix, similar like you're bringing ink to a newspaper. And this will revolutionize the way we will produce solar panels in the future. So to create this kind of next competitive research, we created this called US Map. We launched a consortium between national laboratories, early startup companies, universities, all work together to really unleash the power of perovskites, not only for solar, but also for other applications where we feel that these molecules can be extremely exciting for many different applications. And we in the US right now have a leading edge on the research side, and we want to bring this, and with the help of all these companies, try to commercialize and bring this technology into the marketplace as soon and as fast as possible. The same what is true for solar is true for wind. We have seen major increases in the efficiency for wind turbines, and this is continuing. So we will see that we will have new materials going into wind. We continue to work on the stability of some of the wind turbines. We look into the integration of wind onto the grid, linking it to storage. And there's a lot of continuous work going on wind. To show you a little bit the power where wind is right now, this now shows you that wind for the first time earlier this year or last year surpassed the hydro production on the renewable side. So now we have seen this now that wind is the biggest producer of electricity on the renewable sector. So far the always was water or hydro, and now wind surpassed this. So wind is growing, and wind continues to grow. And to show you on the next couple of slides the potential of wind when we go where we go in the near future. This blue shows you the wind potential map when you have a wind turbine at an 80-meter hub height. So this means how high tall these wind towers are. And as you know, this is in the middle, there's a lot of wind. So what happens if you go to higher hub heights? Means what would happen if you make taller wind plants, wind machines? This shows you if you go to 110 meter, and you can see how blue is spreading out. If you go to 140 meter hub height, you would have wind in every state in the United States. So the question is why are we not building taller machines? We're building already taller machines offshore, so why are we not building taller machines on land? And the real limitations for building taller machines right now is that right now when you manufacture wind turbines on a plant, and then you want to bring the rotors and the towers and all the elements to the site, if you go to 140 meter hub heights, the rotors are becoming so large that we cannot transport them on our roads or even on rail. So there's too many curves on our rail system, which the blades will not make this turns. And the same is true for the towers. So we need fundamentally new ways to produce the machines on site with new materials to really develop this 440 meter hub height wind turbines for the future on land. On offshore, you have the manufacturing sites on this coast, and then you barge the big machines out to the site. This concept does not work on land, and that's why we need to develop a fundamentally new concept, starting with new materials and all the way to new manufacturing processes to make these machines taller, to reach the tremendous potential to have wind in every state. And with this 140 meter hub height, this getting gigantic machines with a lot of efficiency and a lot of power output. And then there's geothermal. There's a lot of progress made in geothermals, actually coming out of the oil and gas industry by new drilling technologies, horizontal drillings. You all know that this was causing the big boom in natural gas. Now this technology is now segueing into the geothermal side. We also developed new models that we are understanding subsurface much better. So geothermal also have the potential over the next couple of years to become a major production site for electricity on the renewable side. So there's the geothermal energy analysis. DOE started a big program to really unleash the potential of geothermal energy. And there's some models suggesting that this can be, again, in the years to come, a major production site, production capabilities on geothermal technologies, building on to new heat pump concepts, new drilling technologies, and especially new models where we can understand and simulate the subsurface environment in a much better level. So the cold climate research is a new center within NREL. So when you look into this, where we're going into some of these very remote villages in Alaska, where suddenly all what I showed you is kind of coming together, you to see how can you develop and using some of this next generation renewable technologies on these very remote locations, and then learn from this type of very remote places across the whole other rural communities and other areas within the United States. So we're very excited to now have this big partnership with the Cold Climate Research Center in Alaska, where we now suddenly bring all these different elements together, from renewable technologies and energy efficiencies in these cold environments, and really develop this on the forefront. Where Alaska on environmental changes is almost like the tip of the spear, where you're seeing a lot of environmental changes, where we're now using all these technologies with the bigger researchers here up in Alaska to be on the forefront of integrating all these different elements from energy efficiency, the next building technologies and renewable energies, bring all this together for some of the very remote villages in Alaska. Hydrogen is another very important element where we're going on the integrated fuel. So a lot of, and you will see this later when I talk about the fuel of the future, a lot of this is that probably electricity will be the cheapest way of energy in the future. But then the question is, can you use some of this electricity and create hydrogen? And this is why we're having a fully integrated hydrogen program. Not only hydrogen for transportation, but hydrogen also as a feedstock, potentially then to use this molecule to create fuel of the future, and we'll come back in this one in the future of my presentation. And there's still bioenergy. Energy has a big transition over the last couple of years, where we're moving away from just looking into fuel, using bioenergy, biomolecules also to produce materials for the future, linking this into the life cycle and the design, looking into all this, how we can use this precious carbon-carbon formation, what nature does so well, and can you make even more out of this than just producing fuel for the future, but also can you make materials for the future. And this also links to what I said, the future is, can you use some of these organic molecules and produce them in a better way, especially when you talk about plastics, and we'll come back to this one in a second. So now giving you a very quick snapshot where the renewables technologies stand. You see there's a lot of excitement happening, a lot of very cool new things. So, but then want to pause there for a second and get you into the future. So where are we? I told you the mega trends. I told you that we have a lot of issues with population growth, urbanization, transportation is changing. Where do we produce all this water? So when you look into an hourglass and say, where's the future going? I want to share with you a couple of thoughts we had, and this was created with some of our internal folks, but a lot of external stakeholder meetings where we consulted and invited a lot of scientists from all different disciplines to NREL to discuss where are we going in the future? What does we as a national energy laboratory, where do we need to go in the future? How do you bring all this together? What are the megatrends teaching us? And what's some of the big research areas we have to focus on? So when you look into the future, this is what we call the environmental scan. So again, what I said, we brought all these people together and see where are we going. And so the first one is the growth of energy use in the developing world will far outpace growth everywhere else. You can see this already in the developing countries. A lot of these people in these areas, they don't have any form of energy or electricity, and they will see an increase in bringing electricity to many people. And India is a good example. When you drive through some of the cities in India, a lot of areas still they have even no light bulb in their little houses. So this is where you're seeing the huge increase in energy need for the developing countries. India, Africa, two of the major countries are coming to mind, or continents in the way of Africa is coming to mind there. Global renewable power demand will also grow. In many areas, renewable power is by far the cheapest way of producing electricity. This trend will continue. Cost of renewables will continue to plunge. They will become cheaper. And this is the way why we predict that in many countries, many areas in the world, new power electricity generation will be focusing around the deployment of renewable energies. Urbanization trends will dominate new infrastructure growth. What I told you that earlier, that a lot of people, cities will grow rapidly. Many more people will live in cities, in mega cities. So this is where a lot of new infrastructure growth will happen. A lot of innovations will come out of the cities, but cities also will be the big issue. How to produce in living cities, how to bring energy, food, resources into the cities. How do you keep them functioning? So cities will be a great opportunity, but also will keep researchers very busy. Electrification and electric vehicle adoption will grow very strongly. So we're seeing this trend continuing, and we feel that even accelerating, especially if you combine electrification to autonomous driving. This is a big step function, what I said at the beginning, where we're feeling that many different transportations will be electrified, and this trend will accelerate over the next couple of years. At the same time, we will see a demand for high density liquid fuel also grow. In the next, let's say to 2040, I think big planes will still fly on jet fuel. I don't think that they will be electrified very easily. We're seeing big ships, for example, will need high density liquid fuel. High density liquid fuel is a very good molecule, very high energy density inside this carbon bonds. So the question is there another way to produce perhaps this high density liquid fuels of the future? Perhaps we can move away from pumping them out of the ground. Perhaps we can make them in a different way, and I will come back to this one in a second. And then the 3Ds, digitization, data, decentralization, will be strong drivers of energy transitions. We will talk about autonomous energy systems, and this again, where machine learning, the next generation of computing systems, this will focus our energy transition, and a lot of the control of the grid of the future will be done through machine learning, and so big effort will go into this area. So when you look into all this kind of outlooks, so we created a 10-year vision plan for NREL, which has three major pillars. The first one is the so-called integrated energy pathways. So this is again where all of this is coming together. How do we have renewable energy generations combined with battery storage? So we have electric car in front of your house. How do you integrate all this together? How do you do long-term seasonal storage? What about natural gas? What about nuclear power? All this will be integrated in a kind of energy pathways of the future. We're moving away from very stovepipe electricity generation, energy for transportation. All this will link back together, and I will show you in some of the slides following this one how the grid architecture will change significantly because of the new distributed energy systems which we have more and more deployed. So the second pillar is what we call circular economy for energy materials. So we're moving away from this one that we're just designing molecules, we're designing devices, and then we just put them onto a landfill. We have to go to a path where we bring some of the materials back into our economy. So we have to think much more in a circular way of using our resources more efficient way and not just putting them into a landfill. And then there's the so-called electrons to molecules. What I mentioned is we think that electricity will be the cheapest way of energy. Can you use electrons and diversify them? And can you build carbon bonds of the future to also come up with a need of hydrocarbons, what I told you, but we will still have an increase in the years to come. So that's the three big pillars. So the next slide shows you a little bit more details, but I described all of them into more details already. So what we're doing on the integrated energy pathways, electrons to molecules, circular economy for energy materials. We feel that these three pillars will be core and will be very critical to come up and to react to the big mega trends, what we need to do on our planet, what I showed you at the beginning of my presentations. So let's dive into this a little bit, what we understand under integrated energy pathways. I mentioned, that the grid architecture is changing rapidly. In the old days, it was very simple. You have a couple of big production sites, like a big nuclear power plant, a big coal plant, and electrons were flowing into one direction. So they were flowing from the plant through our transmission lines to our consumers, manufacturing sites, or you consumer within your house. And this is where you used it. And now suddenly it's changing. It's getting now bi-directional. So the grid will go in both directions. The houses are getting smarter. So the grid edge will completely change. So you might have your car in front of your door, your electric car, which you might charge into your house, or you charge it when the electricity cost is cheap. So you have smart water heaters, which the utility can help you to lower your cost of electricity depending on when you turn on your water heater. So you produce solar electricity and you bring this back and might sell this to your neighbors. So you can see that the fundamental architecture of the grid is changing, because we're going more and more to distributed energy systems. And this is a major challenge. We need new ways to regulate these grids. We need new ways to control the grid of the future. There's tremendous business opportunities in this new grid, because suddenly through blockchain, some of you might have heard these terms, suddenly you might be trading electricity to your neighbor. You might have an independent neighborhood, which you have your neighborhood solar panels, you have battery storage in your house. You might become very independent to many days in the year from the grid overall. So massive changes happening in the grid of the future in the next coming years. In addition, we're seeing that by 2050, we see massive increase in electricity consumption in the United States. So this was the so-called electrification studies we have done here at NREL over the last couple of years. And you can see what the big driver for the increased kind of electricity consumption is transportations. And this again links that we're seeing a huge increase in electricity consumption because of the electrification of our transportation, of our commuter traffic. We're seeing this again, what I said, especially combined with autonomous driving, that we're seeing huge increases in electricity consumption over the next couple of years. And this looks then what we develop the future energy systems. What I said, it will be much more integrated. It will be all types of energy systems and be more complex, more distributed, and more interdependent. We think that if you do this correct, you will also be able to do this more efficient, more resilient, and more affordable. So some of this done right is, even in our view, decreasing electricity cost over the future. But you can see this already on these diagrams. The old traditional grid architecture has completely changed. So you have wind farms, you have smart grid sensors, you have kind of industry which produce electricity, taking electricity, you have electric vehicles which might also be serving as storage. We have energy storage at different levels. We have very ultra high efficient buildings. We still have power plants. This can be natural gas plants. It can be very large solar plants or wind parks. We still have water. So you see how all this is integrated. Cities becoming much smarter. Building will talk to each other. Where we're going from a smart building to a smart block to a smart city. So major changes coming in the future energy systems. And the question then is, how do you link all this together, and how do we control this very smart, interactive, interconnected energy systems of the future? And this is again where we feel that autonomous energy systems will play the major role. Not only in power grids, also in transportations, when smart cars will talk to each other, buildings will talk to each other, and even wind plants at a smaller scale where individual wind turbines will communicate with each other. So this is again what we call autonomous energy systems of the future. So we will need new nonlinear control mechanisms. There will be new algorithms to optimize some of the loads, some of the energy generations and productions, how we're linking to energy storage on the grid side. This will be very complex systems and a lot of algorithms to develop these new complex systems. And of course, big data and analytics, big data will play a major role. All this to run the grid of the future will not be possible the way we're controlling the grid right now. This will be done through machine learning. So this will be done through very smart computing systems which will adapt and control the grid of the future. And again, this said, is also, of course, the dark side into this, because with this, cybersecurity will be a major element in the years to come. We don't want that somebody hacks in through solar panels and then changes and creates havoc in our grids. Because again, as soon as you take the human element out of the controls, cybersecurity will even increase significantly over the years to come. But down the road, we are very convinced that only the big changes only will be done through machine learning, through very advanced computing systems. Now let me go over to so-called electrons to molecules. I told you that we will see a huge increase in hydrocarbons. We will need them for the future. We will need also not only produce food, we also need to produce molecules, materials for the future in a more sustainable way. At the same time, I told you that electricity will be very likely the cheapest way of producing energy. So the idea is, what about if we take electrons? So if we have a deep penetration of renewables, for many days of the year, you have too much electricity on our grids. So the question is, can you use these electrons and produce molecules? Can you do something else with these electrons? This is what this electrons to molecules idea is. So the idea is, can you produce electricity? And instead of, let's say, if you're a wind park provider, right now you have one customer. You're producing electricity and you can put electricity onto our grid. If the grid is, to make it simple, if the grid is full, guess what? You have to turn off your wind machines, or you pay people extra money. You curtail your output of your wind parks. So the idea is, what about if we direct electrons in different directions? What about if you capture this electrons and couple this with, for example, CO2 from different sources? And can you combine the two and make it through new conversion technologies, which will probably come out through biocatalysis, electrocatalysis, hybrid electro-biocatalysis, new ways that you can make fuels, chemicals, materials, and even then using these materials for long-term storage. So very popular in Europe. So I call this power to X, power to fuels. We call this electrons to molecules. But the concept is very simple. So can you take electrons? Can you combine this with taking CO2? Perhaps down in the future sometime even take CO2 out of the environment. Right now you would first go to very reliable CO2 sources we have. And then can you take this and reduce CO2 to carbon-carbon bonds and make this in a way more efficient? Very likely this will go through hydrogen. So that's why we're working on a very integrated hydrogen program. We're working on new catalysts to take water and split it to hydrogen using renewable electricity. So the circular economy for energy materials, I mentioned this to you already, that we have to fundamentally change the way we're using our materials, how we're using our resources on our planet. We cannot continue just to go into one stream. We take minerals out of our mines, produce X, and then we put X onto a landfill. We have to bring these materials back into our economy. Again, and this is the concept of circular economy. Right now, so we have a linear approach. So you take, you make, and you dispose. So the idea really is in the circular economy that you design, you recycle, you reuse, you remanufacture, you bring these materials back into our economy. Best examples right now is the new batteries we developed in lithium ion, for example. So they are only designed right now with the concept in mind that they have to be as light for our transportation and as energy dense as possible. We have not worried about this right now, how to bring some of these materials back into our economy. And this has to change. When you go into design of new, let's say, batteries, solar panels, wind turbines, any other energy materials, so the reuse of these materials has to be built into design at a very early stage, that we find a way not only to achieve the properties in energy storage, density, whatever have it, but also that the reuse, they're bringing these materials back into our economy, plays a major role from the design of these materials from the beginning. The best example right now, what we're trying to do is on polymer upcycling. We're seeing a big plastic bottle as a very complex organic molecules, very similar to, in our view, for example, what a tree is, a very complex organic molecules. So this very simple question when I was asked when we talk about some of these activities, Why do we not see so many aluminum cans floating around in our oceans? Because we have a good process of recycling aluminum cans. So I mean, it's a very simple process. You melt it and you suddenly having a material which is almost as good as the starting materials to then make new bottles or new cans out of this. So on polymer, on plastics, we really do not have a good process of bringing plastic materials back into our economy. The current recycling procedures are not working very well. On the other hand, plastic is a very good material. Look, when you look into food safety, for example, going away with all plastic is changing the way we might sell some of our uh, kind of groceries or things in our stores. So plastic is a very good material. We just have to find a better way to reuse it. That's why we're doing this polymer upcycling. There's two concepts. So the one concept is that is say, okay, can you really find a way that you break down a plastic bottle and create materials which even have a higher value as the original plastic material in the bottle? So it's so-called upcycling. So you're creating by changing, breaking this plastic materials down into precursors, starting materials to even create higher value products down the road. So this is one way. The second way is also that we're working on new polymers which are easier to digest and to degrade, that we find better ways, more efficient ways to degrade plastic and polymers. We think that this is extremely important. As you all have probably heard, by 2050, we have more weight of plastic in the ocean than we have the weight of fish. So it's time to really approach this problem and find solutions to bring this forward. And we feel that we not only abandon plastic is one way, but we feel it's more and more better to find new ways to upcycle these materials or find new plastics to recycle them in a better way. And then there's what we call a trial lab consortium. So what I told you, these problems, especially on the systems integration, is bigger than any lab. It's bigger than even one state or even one country. So we teamed up with some of our partner laboratories, which are the applied laboratories, which are three, which is we are NREL. Then there's NATL and Idaho National Laboratory. NATL is the fossil lab and Idaho is the nuclear lab. So we teamed up to work on this kind of collaboration is how can you bring a systems integration pathway forward, where we're looking into all the different energy generation technologies and see how the future is by linking all of them together. So give you this very concrete example. When you go to deep penetration of renewables, there's still a big element where industry needs so-called process heat. So far right now, we only have process heat coming out from nuclear power plants or from burning fossil fuel. So what is the process heat of the future coming from? Perhaps there's new ways to look into this integrational, that you link all the different elements together, where perhaps nuclear power plants, instead of producing electricity, might just run and produce process heat. So that's where we made this decision to team up with some of our partner and sister laboratories to come up with a fully integrated energy plan for the future, where we're not looking only into energy generations, but we also want to look into the energy demands for industries, let's say also in the agricultural area, into transportation and in electricity generations, and come up with a fully integrated plan of the future to make this energy transition happening. And then there's partnering for impact. Again, what I said on the research side, where we need more partnership with academia, fundamentally national laboratories, on the national and international level, but also we have to do better to partner with companies. Because at the end, research has to be implemented. We have to bring research onto the marketplace. And this is why we feel partnership with industry is so critical and is in the DNA of NREL. You all have seen the valley of death, where you develop new technologies, and a lot of times this new technology fizzles out because it's very hard to scale the technology in the right time frame and to bring these new ideas, linking up with corporations and then deploy these technologies. valley of death. So we feel that this is a key element of Enroll, that we're trying to bridge this valley of death, because one of our mottos at Enroll always is, we want to create a better planet. And this means research is wonderful, but research is just the beginning. We have to find ways to bring research to the market. We have to deploy the research into the marketplace. And this is where we need the collaboration with corporations, startups, established companies to bring these new ideas into the marketplace and to the consumers. So we have a couple of very big and impactful partnerships. Just to name a few of them here on this slide. The first one, to start with, this is a big collaboration with ExxonMobil, where we're trying to develop the kind of the electrons of electrons to molecules of the future. How can you bring some of these ideas forward? How can you work with big companies like ExxonMobil to really very early on bring some of these new ideas, scale these new ideas, and then starting to deploy these new ideas? Also, what's so interesting on this agreement runs for 10 years. It's a $100 million agreement. Again, with this in mind, to take very early ideas from within Enroll, but also from our partners across academia and other national laboratories. Bring this idea, scale these ideas with our partners, and then hopefully deploy as quickly as possible. We have another very interesting incubator program with Shell Game Changer. Same concept there, where we're working with startup companies all over the place in the marketplace for what Shell is interested in is bring these companies to Enroll, work with these companies, trying to mature these companies, trying to develop and scale this new startup companies' ideas. And then Shell will be the first customer for some of these companies and will be integrated into their portfolio. A very interesting, innovative concept. And then we're working very close with Eaton Corporation. Eaton made a decision to have people from Eaton at Enroll. So we almost call them Enrollians. They having badges. They're incorporated within our facilities. They work hand in hand with our scientists to bring up ideas where our scientists think that this is a cool idea, and they're teaming up with some of the Eaton scientists. We're writing proposals together. We work very, very close partnership to advance some of the electrification, what we're seeing not only in our houses, but also in the transportation sectors. So Eaton right now has about 20 people at Enroll, and they're scaling this up to about 40 people being part of our facilities and working on a daily basis with our scientists and engineers. And then there's a big incubator program with Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo was always very interested to see what are the big startup companies. We started up in the areas around energy efficiency. So this is also a very interesting incubator program because it aligns two elements. We're looking at the startup companies from a perspective to see, does this technology make sense? Wells Fargo looks at this as well, does this technology make sense to be deployed in some of our many, many branches? So suddenly there's two drivers, and suddenly what's so interesting on this program, on this incubator program, is that you're developing new technologies. We help to really explore if this makes sense. We help to mature the technologies. And then the startup companies have their first customer built in with Wells Fargo. And this is so successful, this program, that now Wells Fargo is in their third round of adding more capabilities and expanding the scope of these programs. So this is just a couple of different partnerships to show you, all the way from extremely large established companies all the way to partner with startup companies. But they all have in mind that we're trying to accelerate energy deployment, new ideas, to bring new ideas into the marketplace, because we feel that this is the only way how you can continue to lead the energy transition, keep the US on the forefront of innovation, and really help down the road to create a better planet for the future. So at this point, I want to finish my presentations. I hope I was able to give you a big overview what's going on at Enroll, give you a little bit of a taste where we're seeing where the research will go on our planet, but also here in the United States. I want to thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to open up for questions. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Keller. We certainly enjoyed all the informative and insightful information. It's great to hear all the tremendous research and work being done at Enroll. And we certainly thank you for all of that, and we look forward to working collaboratively, both the industry and research institutions, to implement some of these solutions as we all work together to have a clean energy future and the planet that's a much cleaner and better place for both ourselves and future generations. We've got about 15 minutes and we have lots of questions coming in. So we definitely want to get to as many questions as possible. One of the questions we've had a lot is, will these slides be available after the presentation? Of course, the recording, if the live presentations will be available for 30 days, we'll check to see if we can also make the slides available. Just one thing that hit me, a lot of good information and content. I certainly know that when we look globally, it's terrible that we have more tigers in captivity in the U.S. than in the wild and the rest of the world. And to hear you say that we have more weight of plastics in the ocean and weight of fish is certainly also disturbing, but I think it also gives us tremendous opportunity as we go forward. So why don't we just jump right into some questions, keep those coming. As I said, we'll get to as many questions as we can. I think the first question is, talking about the wind turbines and the increasing height and the challenges there. One question came in from one of our attendees. With the wind turbines, what's the carbon footprint to build and install the turbine versus the green energy produced over the lifetime of the turbine?
Yeah. So Bill, first of all, thanks again for having me, and thanks for organizing a meeting like this. I think in a time like this, meetings like this are very, very important to still have the connections and the network and bring everybody together. So thanks for doing all this. And you also mentioned in your introduction the importance from your organization, the linkage between industry and also the research organizations. What I try to say also in my presentation, this is so critical, and specifically, especially for the future, where we have to work even harder, in my view, to make and create these linkages. So thanks for your organization, all what you do to really jeopardize this and help to bring these connections together. So this question, honestly, I really don't know the full data on the carbon footprint of creating the wind plants and put them up. But so there's the so-called life cycle analysis. I'm sure it is done for wind. I would predict that it's probably very good, because when you look into the materials going into the blades and also the towers right now, it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of fiberglass built into the blades and concrete and steel in the towers. Over the lifespan of a wind machine, 20, 30 years, I mean, there's a lot of electricity produced. I'm sure you all can look this up somewhere. I honestly don't know the exact life cycle analysis, but I would predict that I think it's pretty good. That's my assumption.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for that question. We'll go right on to the next one. Here's one that is certainly, really appropriate in this time. Is the current engineering workforce has long been a male-dominated industry. So, kind of two parts. What is the makeup of the workforce at NREL, and including women and minorities, and what initiatives not only do you have to attract and retain a more diverse workforce, and what can we do as an industry to attract and maintain more women and more minorities in this technical and traditionally male-dominated workforce?
Look, I mean, this is an excellent question. And also, you all know what's going on in our country. I mean, this is a very relevant question right now. So we, over the last couple of years at NREL, and when you go back and look at some of my slides, I showed there was the 3 pillars. So there is one bubble in the middle, which we said workforce. We always put this on purpose in the middle, because we feel that this is the heart of our organization. We wouldn't have a lab if we wouldn't have the best workforce. The people makes the lab. I mean, like people make all companies. So what we have done over the years is really to work on this topic to really develop a full inclusive work environment. So we also have now a diversity and inclusion officer on site who helps us to really develop and bring some of these very critical elements to the forefront. At NREL, I would say, the workforce, we are a very young laboratory. We're pretty diverse. It also depends on the areas, and also what you see probably across the United States. In the biological areas, we have a much higher percentage of female researchers. On the engineering side, so we also have to do more work, like so many other places, where I think we have to work hard to increase females and also minorities. So we're working together with a couple of organizations like the GEM fellows, ourselves where we bring to NREL. We're also reaching out to a couple of minority focusing universities, because our view is very simple. The more diverse and inclusive our work environment is, the better is the outcomes, and the more effective and productive are we in advancing new ideas. And what we say inclusiveness is of course is also on race and gender, but even goes beyond this, because even cultural changes are helping us as a company. Look, I do always bring this example out of myself. I grew up in Germany. I come from a very different cultural background here to the United States now. I don't even know, 20 years ago, something like this, or even more, 25 years. So, but it's, the more diversity we bring to our organizations, I think the more insights do we get, the better are we in advancing ideas. But they also have to be inclusive, that everybody is heard, everybody has a chance to voice their opinions. And that's a big focus at NREL. And I tell you, we have to do a lot of work also to even further improve where we are right now.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And thanks for all the efforts and for all you're doing to attract and maintain a more diverse workforce there at NREL. So moving on to the next question. This comes in from Dr. Timothy Unruh, who's the Executive Director at NASCO, a good friend of AEE. He asked, considering the new grid architecture, autonomous energy systems, what are the barriers to success beyond technical issues?
So Tim, thanks for your question. I hope you're doing great. Tim is a good friend. We know each other for quite some time. So look, excellent question, Tim. So look, what we're seeing right now is there's massive changes in the way how we building this out and manage the grid for the future. You brought this up. There's of course the technical questions. I tell you, one of the big things what keeps me up at night is how do we do this with cybersecurity in mind. This will be the big driver. I always say some of the students, if you want to create or work in a field which you will never be done, go into cybersecurity, because you will never be done. So, but there's also not only technical problems, but there's also a cultural problem. Some of the utilities are very conservative. And I tell you, I think what we're seeing right now, there's a big change going on in the utilities. And down the road, it will be interesting how many of these will adapt to this. And down the road, I think the most kind of progressive, advanced utilities who learn to deal with this new realities, so I think will come ahead out of this, because there will be new business models will be available through some of these new distributed systems. And we watching this, it's fascinating to see what's going on there right now. So I would say, to summarize, that there's also a cultural thing in the utilities to see how open are they to adapt to some of these new technologies. Nobody want to be first, so everybody said, well, I'm happy to follow down, if 3 or 4 have implemented this. So, and that's why I think what we're doing is to team up with some of the utilities to develop this together. So at NREL, we're developing a new site, which is now the Flatiron site, which is our so-called wind site in the past, where we're building this ARIES, which is this integrated large-scale system where we're bringing all the elements together between solar and wind and storage and hydrogen production, and how can you link all this together, this also will be a platform to try out some of these new algorithms and this new kind of developments to run an autonomous grid, because we feel that this has to be done again hand in hand with the industry, with the utilities, to develop the grid architecture of the future. So no organization can do this alone. It has to be done in very deep partnership with the industry leaders in this field.
Great, thank you for that, Dr. Keller. So another question, this is from Fred Gatewood. I'd like to get your thoughts on the extreme record temperatures that have been recorded in the Arctic in the last couple of days.
Yeah, so look, Fred, again, thanks for your question. They're very, very alarming when you see what's going on there. And this is also why we did this now new partnership. The Cold Climate Research Center in Alaska Fairbanks is part of NREL. And we were very excited about this partnership because exactly of what you also brought up in your question. So we're seeing the massive changes going on the Arctic. And so this will help us also to be on the tip of the spear, to learn on site directly with these local communities, how do you adapt to this type of environmental changes? And this is, again, not only on the building side, where when you look at some of these houses, as I don't know if you've seen some of these pictures where some of the houses really, the permafrost around these houses changes so much that they have to have ladders to get into the houses. So we need to build in a different way. And when you also have to link these new building technologies and energy efficiency side with the next generation of energy technologies to really bring down the cost for this folks in this very, really kind of harsh weather environments. And we want to do this because from there we can then learn how we can apply some of these technologies to other rural communities across the US, but also the planet. And this is why we're so excited about this partnership. And when you look at the latest weather data, it's even brings more urgency into this, that we have to work even faster and harder to really adapt and bring some of these new technologies to the forefront of these folks.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, so in your comments, you highlighted partnerships with universities, other research groups and labs, and also corporations. So I think you also mentioned this in one of your earlier answers. So how does NREL partner and engage with utilities such as our co-host, Puget Sound Energy, Seattle City Light, and their business it's currently going through massive transformations?
Yeah, so we have a significant partnership with various utilities at all different levels. So a lot of this is, we have this energy systems integration facility, or we call it ESIF. So where a lot of utilities come and work with us to explore, for example, new devices, all the way to massive models for their utility systems and their grids, where we're having a very large kind of three-dimensional way of displaying some of this utility distribution systems, which will give us a lot of very interesting data. So, and it goes all the way from smaller projects with different utilities to very large engagements. So with various type of utilities, and it's all between. Because again, what I said, research, I'm a researcher, I love research, but research alone will not solve our problems. We have to link this to the industry to really then help to deploy this technology. And this is why all partnerships with industry are, in our view, so important. And right now, very specifically also with a lot of different utilities to bring some of these ideas onto the market and into the market as fast as we can.
Great. Okay. It's hard to believe 10 minutes into the Q&A and our first question on COVID and the pandemic. So how has the pandemic affected, the three critical objectives at NREL, and how do you see this affecting renewables and energy efficiency as a result of COVID and how we move forward?
So I mean, the pandemic does not affect our critical objectives. I think they stay because, look, frankly, I mean, the pandemic is not changing the research outcome. At least I don't see this right now. I mean, we, of course, like every company, we got impacted directly. I mean, we had our first presumptive case pretty early in this whole pandemic, which forced us to be ahead of some of other perhaps companies or academic or national laboratory institutions. We reacted very quickly. So we pretty much overnight shifted from having 2,500 people at the lab to having 2,500 people working from home. So luckily the transition went pretty smooth. So a lot of our scientists and engineers are still extremely productive working from home. But now we also have programs to bring our researchers back to the laboratory, because sooner or later, when you're running out of research you can work up when you're at home and can do experiments. So what is, in my opinion, this pandemic, in my opinion, shows a couple of important points. So number one is that where we're going right now, look at our infrastructure. So we're seeing people very productive from working from home, but what is the critical thing to do this? You need to have a high, fast internet to do all this. So I think what I can see is that we will hopefully in our nation increase and bring a high-speed internet to many more of our people to enable this remote working. We're seeing an increase where we even honestly talk about this. Do we need all our office spaces? A lot of our support people, like in finance, in auditing, and in our kind of a law area, they're so productive working from home. So I don't even know if we all have to be sitting in cubicles or if we can continue to have much more people working from home. But in my opinion, the infrastructure increase or updates on some of the internet also hopefully will go directly into the energy sector. And I can see that on the long run, I think my sense is that it will take some time to recover from this pandemic, but I do not see that the clean energy technology change, the renewal of our grid systems. I think this will continue. My view is that it might be even accelerating. Some of the people, and I look at LA, they suddenly realize that how clean the air can be if everybody's driving around. So I think it also created some of this awareness within our folks in our population that perhaps moving towards a clean energy technology will be a big benefit for our nation in the long run. So I think I see this as a more or less, I don't want to say short term, but medium term bump. But I think the whole advancement in energy technologies will come out strong even at the end of this, in my opinion.
Great, thank you for that. So we're nearing the end of the time, and certainly, you know, in addition to all of the business and the research and all the collaboration we're doing, you know, at the core we're people. And kind of like to end on a lighter note, I understand you like to do downhill skiing. So maybe you could just tell us, compare, you know, the Alps in Bavaria to the Rockies in Colorado, and why don't we throw a little business into it and say, have you seen any effects from climate change, you know, in the Alps and the Rockies?
So, I mean, somebody whispered this probably in the ear. I love skiing. So, I mean, I grew up in the mountains in the Alps, as you said. And now, of course, for me, being here in Colorado is where I have from my house where I'm sitting right now to the first ski area. It's about 40 minutes drive. So it's very close. I always compare when you go for the snow and the quality of the snow, nobody beats the Rockies over here. I mean, the area where we live in. Europe, I mean, sometimes when you go back to ski in the Alps, you say, oh my God, this is horrible snow. But of course, then I have to say what's really different is that the Alps have some of the little tiny restaurants, the little huts, which are unbeatable. I always say, if you want to just go skiing and ski as hard as you can, you have to go to Colorado, to the ski areas. If you want to bring some of the kind of have a nice beer, wine, good meal, you're linking skiing with some of the social elements, you have to go to the Alps. So honestly, I enjoy both, but from the snow, nothing beats the area here where we are.
Great, thanks. So Dr. Keller, it's certainly been an honor, a privilege to have you address our attendees today. We certainly thank you for your time and for your comments. Unfortunately, we're not able to get to all the questions. We'll see if we can get the questions, get those to you, and if you would consider maybe answering some of those, we can share those back to our attendees. So once again, thank you once again. Keep up the great work, and it's been an honor having you address our attendees today.
Again, thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all what you do.
Great. Thank you. So looking ahead, so we've had our opening session, a great start to the day. So immediately following the open session, we're going to start immediately with our Innovative Technology Showcase. It's a rapid fire preview of the latest technologies and solutions from our exhibitors. So over the next 2 hours, we're going to have the virtual exhibit hall open. So we encourage you to go and visit and network with our exhibitors. The AEE membership and certification booth will be open. If you have questions about membership, certifications, events, training, etc., certainly we'll have that manned with AEE staff. And attendee networking, you have the ability to network with your co-attendees throughout the next 2 hours. And then we'll begin at 1 o'clock Pacific time this afternoon with 2 concurrent sessions. Our first session will be energy policy in the Pacific Northwest, always a very good, pertinent, and timely session. And then secondly, we'll have going on concurrently solving the problem of quantifying efficiency, something certainly we all have to do as we move forward with efficiency in our projects. So once again, thank Dr. Keller. Thank you all for attending. Please join us for the Innovative Technology Showcase. Network with the exhibitors, and we'll see you this afternoon for the conference sessions. I look forward to seeing you over the next 2 days as we continue with the virtual AEE West Energy Conference and Expo. Thank you very much.
Hello and good morning. My name is Diane McCullum, and welcome to our virtual edition of AEE West Energy Conference and Expo. We're super excited to have our valued exhibitors join us and share with you the latest on energy savings. For the next 30 minutes, we will have a preview of their showcases. After the showcase preview, we invite you to join them in their virtual booth and learn more about their companies. I hope you have a wonderful conference and a great day. Thanks so much.
Citizens Plaza was constructed in 1984. It's 15 stories, 276,000 square feet. It experienced high utility, low delta T, over pumping. There were thermal inefficiency charges that exceeded 12 to 13,000 in a month for that building.
On our visit with Chad to Citizens Plaza, we really just verified what we already knew, which was standard oversized air handler, oversized glow valve, and oversized coils, which made it a perfect candidate for an energy valve as the solution.
We installed energy valves at Citizens Plaza. We saved 49% in chill water pumping, about $23,000 a year. To bring that back to my boss, it made her look good, it made me look good, it made our entire team look good, it made JLL look good within the state. With the energy valve, we have savings that we can see.
Today's facilities generate vast quantities of sensor and equipment data. By tapping into this data, we can uncover valuable insight into how our facilities are operating, enabling us to run our facilities more efficiently, with less energy and increased comfort. But how do we unlock the value buried in all this raw data? SkySpark by SkyFoundry is the answer. SkySpark is an analytics platform that automatically analyzes data from automation systems, meters, sensors, and other smart devices in order to identify issues, faults, trends, correlations, and opportunities for operational improvements and cost reduction. As a completely open platform, SkySpark enables data from a wide range of sources to be continuously analyzed, helping you find what matters in the operation of your facilities and equipment systems. With SkySpark, analytic rules automatically run against the data produced by smart systems. Through a variety of pattern recognition techniques, SkySpark's analytics engine quickly identifies issues worthy of your attention and then provides clear, easily understandable visualizations showing those issues, including their frequency, duration, magnitude, and cost. And because SkySpark is fully programmable, rules can be adapted to the unique needs of individual facilities. SkySpark works with data of all types, whether it be live data from automation systems, smart meters, web services, or historical data from CSV files and databases. SkySpark can also be used in a wide variety of applications, including energy and resource management and reporting, monitoring-based commissioning, equipment fault detection, energy analysis, load profiling, facility benchmarking, and asset performance tracking. SkySpark gives you the insight you need to dramatically improve efficiency, reduce energy usage, and enhance overall facility operations, helping you lower costs, increase occupant satisfaction, and improve the performance of your assets. Visit skyfoundry.com today and start finding what matters.
Sustainability is very important, not only in monetary ways, but also in protecting our environment. We at Lexus of Glendale really care about what happens with what we use, and one of the most important things was energy. With California's strict environmental laws, we needed to come up with a solution to meet those requirements. That's why we chose the Luxon Light Management System. With the NEDAP system, we now already have exceeded what the requirements are. The Luxon system is a cloud-based software that allows us to control our lights from anywhere. One of the benefits of the system is that all the lights are connected. There's a network that runs through the dealership. I'm able to actually see which lights are on, when they're on, what percentage they're on. It's very, very simple. If I happen to have a light that isn't working, I get a message. I can control lights in a showroom from my office. I could control the outdoor lights from my home. One of the other items that's nice about having the software control the amount of light that is generated in a dealership is an ambience thing. We can control the ambience. We can keep it in a calm level when necessary or brighten it up when we need to. Prior to the lighting, we had lots of complaints. I can't see, this light is out, that light is out. We have none of that anymore. In our shop, we've noticed that our technicians are able to repair cars without the assistance of other types of lighting, and we've seen some absolute employee happiness with that. We're not tied into a specific brand of light. We can go with whatever is the best, whatever is the newest, whatever is the greatest, latest thing. One of the reasons that we chose the NEDAP system is that flexibility. What was important at the beginning was the offers of rebates and the monetary savings that we would see in our monthly electricity bill. As we continued the project and as we started to see the actual cost savings and the energy savings, we realized that this was something that we would be able to create an atmosphere that is truly a great experience. A huge cost savings for us is on our roof. Prior to the NEDAP system, we had very large, very high wattage light bulbs that were on all the time. The new system, what it does is it keeps the lights at a very, very minimal amount of usage when there's no movement. They run about 10% in the evenings. When somebody walks up, they start to light up different sections where those people are, and they'll only go up to 80%. The savings in energy cost and the savings in energy usage is tremendous. I would recommend the Luxon light management systems to all businesses. The ease of use, the affordability, the savings is amazing, but also just the importance of being environmentally friendly. It makes it an easy choice.
Hi, my name is Cameron Ritzenthaler with Kitchen Energy Solutions, and we are the nationwide distributor for the EcoAzure Demand Control Kitchen Ventilation System, or in other words, commercial kitchen hood controls. So why is this energy savings measure needed? Well, in commercial kitchens, whether it's new construction or a retrofit, many of these kitchens are designed with your exhaust fan and supply fans running at 100% speed throughout the entirety of the day, every single day. And the simple fact is, regardless of the commercial kitchen, whether it's restaurants, hotels, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, universities, these fans don't have to be at 100% speed every single day because your chefs aren't cooking and using all of the appliances every single second of every day. So if you picture a cubic foot of air, roughly twice the size of a basketball, picture that every one of these basketballs has to be heated, cooled, and electrically moved in order to be exhausted out of this kitchen hood and into the atmosphere. And in your most simple kitchens, this would be 5,000 basketballs moving through your kitchen hood and out into the atmosphere every single minute of every single day. And that's a lot of basketballs. So what we do is we can sense the changes that are happening underneath these kitchen hoods and make adjustments to the speeds of these units accordingly. The first set of sensors that we use to do this would be a temperature sensor. Just like its name, it's looking for temperature senses underneath the hood, senses temperature changes that are happening, and modulates the exhaust fans and supply fans up and down accordingly. And if smoke or steam is produced, we have optical sensors that are going to be looking for any grease, any smoke, any steam, and we'll illustrate that here. By creating smoke or steam. This will ramp up your exhaust fan and supply fans to get all the smoke and steam out to ensure that nothing is rolling out of the hood and into any common spaces. And once those beams are back intact and they're no longer seeing that smoke or steam, it'll come back down and ramp off in temperature accordingly. One great thing about our blue light optic sensors with our system is that these are entirely waterproof, grease-proof, and impervious to any type of cleaning that you do in your commercial kitchen. To illustrate that, I'm going to take a glass of water and we'll fully submerge one of these sensors in water. You can see the light still shining through. We're still picking up all of our smoke and steam, and there's no damage to the sensor. So the users can have a worry-free experience of how they're going to maintain this system and go about cooking and operating just as they always did. If we have a system that's designed with more than one kitchen hood on a common exhaust fan, in conjunction with our temperature and optic sensors, we also have modulating dampers that we can add in to achieve the maximum amount of energy savings in any of these commercial kitchen spaces. So regardless of the design, regardless of if it's new construction or retrofit, contact Kitchen Energy Solutions, stop by our booth, and learn how you can maximize your kitchen energy savings. Thank you.
So, you realize that it is time for your multifamily building to install car chargers. But you have some problems? Your building does not have enough electric capacity to accommodate all the charging stations that you need now and in the future. Also, you are not able to find the right equipment for your needs at a price that is reasonable to you. No worries. Here at Leading Charge we offer many alternatives that solve these problems. We provide load management systems, so your building does not need to bring extra electrical power from the street, which will cost an extreme amount of money. We also help you to understand how additional charging capacity can be harnessed by changing your inefficient lighting to LED, replacing single-pane windows with double or triple pane, installing an air barrier membrane when residing, and changing faucet aerators to reduce hot water usage. In the future, even more electric capacity will be achieved with battery packs and solar generation. We can offer you the best priced chargers for your current project and future needs. Installing charging stations in your building gives you a competitive advantage when it comes to attracting new tenants or increasing the value of your property. And don't forget the reoccurring revenue for apartment owners that it can generate. Leading Charge is way ahead of the curve for a better and cleaner future.
Hi, Will Wilson here from Pace Chemicals. We're attending the AEE West Virtual Trade Show. We are the manufacturing and distribution partner for Endotherm in North America, and we've been using the technology for the last 3+ years to save energy for our clients in all types of hydronic systems. It's a simple additive that goes in to improve heat transfer. The result is a significant reduction in chiller energy consumption, or boiler energy consumption, heat pump energy consumption, improve the geothermal loop. Anywhere we're using water to transport heat in a building, as long as it's a closed loop system, Endotherm is very applicable, safe on all the metallurgies and technology and equipment that you find in a typical HVAC system, compatible with all traditional corrosion inhibitors and glycol. We've used it in thousands of applications now, hundreds of case studies. Most recently, and it's pretty exciting for us here in BC, Fortis BC is coming out with an incentive for the technology. They've had an opportunity to review many case studies here in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver, and so I've seen firsthand what the technology can do, and they're willing to get behind it and support it for their carbon reduction in boiler applications. So we're really excited to be here. It's a new exciting event to do this virtually, so please stop by if you're interested in saving energy in hydronic systems. Happy to speak to you about it. Again, my name is Will Wilson. We're Pace Chemicals, and we'll be exhibiting in the trade show section of the AEE West. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Introducing Endotherm, an award-winning heating system additive, which can reduce energy bills by up to 15%. Endotherm liquid chemistry can be installed in domestic, commercial, retail, or industrial buildings. Endotherm has been installed in more than 100,000 buildings, with typical savings of 15% on energy cost and CO2. Endotherm reduces the surface tension of water by up to 60%, which improves heat transfer, returns water to cool temperature quicker, improving boiler condensation, nucleate boiling, and increases cycle length, with a typical return on investment in less than 2 years. Installation is simple and does not require system downtime or specialist equipment. Endotherm, the low-cost, straightforward way to significantly reduce your energy bills and carbon footprint. Get in touch to learn more.
Hi, welcome to eSite Energy. eSite is a web-based software that will pull in any type of utility information like electricity, gas and water, plus steam, chilled water, etc. We have 152 integrations. We can pull in data from hardware such as data loggers, building control systems, and also utility information as well. When that information is in the software, we have 9 different modules, so we can do things like energy analysis, automated reporting, high usage alarms, tenant billing, bill verification, project tracking. 2 types of dashboard, one for the lobby and one you would use at your desk. The software can be rebranded with your own company logos. It's available in different currencies, multi-currency, multi-language. And we have many customers such as Texas Tech University, Kansas State, Weill Cornell Medicine, Fort Bragg, NG US Services and Vodafone. So come and take a look. Thanks.
So you're looking to manage and reduce energy. You may already know you have some complex problems to solve, such as how to collect your data, how to effectively use the data you have, resourcing your project, and how to deliver actionable information to personnel of all levels. You've come to the right place. eSite is the #1 global energy management solution. Over 25,000 people in 60 countries and 17 languages trust eSite to manage energy in 100,000 buildings representing approximately 430 million square feet of property worldwide. Why do so many companies choose eSite? Because there is no other solution that is comparable. Able to automatically integrate data from virtually any type of system, eSite has been designed so that you can tailor what you use to what you need. Each area of eSite includes a sophisticated engine for targeted energy management. Users can access data through our full system or through our simplified Express interface. eSite also offers 2 distinct dashboards to meet different reporting needs. Our experienced team can provide you with as much or as little assistance as you need during your energy project, from training through to complete project management and anything in between. We will work to ensure eSite is implemented to start delivering you results as quickly and as easily as possible. Your energy, our platform, one solution.
eLuminaire is driven to deliver the best performing LED fixtures on the market. A culture of customer service along with an experienced sales and management team has been a stepping stone to our success. We have a 30-year history of innovation with multiple patents, in-house design, engineering, testing, and manufacturing. You will find no better value anywhere. From our national account presence in recessed and surface-mounted canopy products to our innovative technology, we are your best choice for energy-efficient products with over 500,000 installed. With the introduction of the high transient resistant driver created to prevent premature driver failure due to line transients or dirty power, to the high color rendering low glare solutions, we are the right choice for parking structures. Look at the vivid reds, blues, even whites while using only 34 watts of energy at 158 lumens per watt. The Netflix parking structure was completed this year utilizing this technology. The performance garage fixture and the low ceiling application produce very broad distribution with much greater uniformity. The PLS Petroleum Luminaire with 24,000 lumens available uses a potted conduit adapter to prevent water intrusion. The RCS recess products are versatile and our custom capabilities allow adaptation to difficult mounting environments. Whether it's canopy or parking lot, eLuminaire is your best choice for lighting. For 2020, we're introducing our cutting-edge technology to provide best-in-class optics for the ALS area luminaire. In side-by-side comparison, we beat our competition for light levels, uniformity ratios, and value while improving our glare control. Our eQuantum optics not only put the light where you need it, but often eliminate the need for back shielding along property lines while increasing light levels. High visibility and uniformity along with high color rendition makes the ALS the perfect choice, and coupled with our canopy products, we can help solve your lighting requirements. Whether it's a parking lot, a parking garage, or both, we have solutions for your project. The introduction of the HMS High Mast series allows mounting heights up to 180 feet while using the eQuantum optics to achieve high light levels and good uniformity. The high quality performance of the ALS has been used in tennis and pickleball courts with higher than the required light levels while improving color uniformity and control. In gymnasiums and fitness centers, the RHS High Bay provides good quality light with high color rendition and use of occupancy and daylight sensors to reduce energy use. With the introduction of our linear lighting line, we take advantage of our 30 years of experience in LED using our own linear strip designed to create great visual comfort and low energy costs. eLuminaire is the best solution for your lighting needs. Simple, precise, efficient. eLuminaire.
Hi, I'm Christy with Capital Energy Systems, and thank you for taking a few minutes to learn about our TEX wireless energy management system. So TEX is your simplest, low-cost solution for reducing energy waste. We give you the ability to manage and control all of your HVAC units from your computer, eliminating behavioral waste, and giving you real-time use and fault indicators. And we want to be your partner in energy savings. Our energy optimization team does 24/7 monitoring and provides you with monthly reports with additional energy saving recommendations. You have performance reports and historical data at your fingertips, and we have purchase options with no money down for our hardware and low monthly fees. And our simplicity is unrivaled. If you've looked into Wi-Fi thermostats before and been turned away by your IT department, we have the most secure Wi-Fi thermostat on the market, and we connect through 802.1x, and we will soon have our 4G LTE cellular thermostat, which will require no IT involvement. And with installation, you simply replace your existing thermostat with ours. It's normally less than 30 minutes a room, and we do have additional sensors if that's something you are looking for. And we can integrate with your existing building management systems through Tritium Niagara. I'm going to take you right now and show you what our dashboard looks like. So right here is our main page. And what you can see at a quick snapshot is the temperature in each of your rooms. If there's a green person, it shows it's occupied. If there is a fan running, you'll see the fan signal. If it's actively cooling, you will see a snowflake. And if there's a warning on the room, you will see this warning symbol. And on this hot summer day, you will see that many of the HVAC units on this first floor are struggling to keep up. If you want to look and see what is going on inside any of your rooms, you can click on it. And what you will see here is the temperature set point you're asking for. The green line is the temperature, and you can see what it was at every point of the day. And down here, it shows you how many minutes the HVAC had to run to bring the room to the correct temperature. So we would love to learn more about your energy management needs. So please stop by our booth and talk to us more. Thanks for your time.
So the Linwood facility here is our newest facility, and it's one of the tallest gyms in the country, 50 feet, and that's why we wanted to really think about how to be more efficient in a large facility like this. And it's really been helpful to have PSE involved in this project.
PSE really wants to help our customers save energy, not only to help lower their energy bills, but to also help them be more sustainable. And as this Linwood facility was being built, we worked together on what boilers he could use that would be the most efficient, and some opportunities to improve the lighting.
We really want to create a more sustainable world, and our business is a big part of that. So we spend most of our time in our work and our business, so we want to use the business as a conduit for creating a more sustainable world.
A lot of our models have to look like people or parts of people. So just having uniform lighting throughout the entire campus, all 3 buildings on our campus, was really, really important.
We have a really good offering for lighting where we can pay up to 70% of a project cost to help implement energy efficiency measures.
The last retrofit allowed us to change out essentially every fluorescent lamp to LEDs. So parking lot lighting, exterior lighting on the buildings, all the interior lighting, restrooms, you know. Really, I don't think there's a spot that we missed.
When we found out about this opportunity to upgrade our lighting, we definitely wanted to take advantage of the cost savings as well as lessen the impact to the environment. New LED lights are much more efficient than the old tube lights, and that enables us to have savings in our maintenance fee expenses because the new lighting lasts so much longer and is more reliable.
The lights are in the pro shop here much brighter. It for sure lights up the merchandise and the walls a lot better. Love it.